Let's begin. But first, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to JamesStories. The courtroom was quiet, too quiet. The kind of silence that presses against your ears and makes your heart beat louder than it should. 16-year-old Malik Johnson stood at the defense table in an oversized gray hoodie, wrists shaking slightly as he clasped them together. His public defender whispered something encouraging, but Malik barely heard it. His eyes were fixed on the judge's bench. Judge Evelyn Hawthorne leaned back in her chair, peering down at him over thin silver glasses. She looked bored. Amused, even. "So," she said, her lips curling into a smirk, "you expect this court to believe you forgot the backpack wasn't yours?" A few people chuckled. Malik swallowed. "Yes, ma'am. I was just holding it for someone. I didn't know." "Oh, of course," Judge Hawthorne interrupted, laughing softly. "That's what they always say." More laughter. Louder this time. Malik's face burned. His mother, Denise Johnson, sat behind him, her hands trembling in her lap. She wanted to stand, to scream. But she knew better. Black women who screamed in courtrooms didn't get justice, they got removed. Judge Hawthorne tapped her gavel lightly. "Young man, with your record and your background, this story is highly creative. Maybe you should consider a career in fiction." The courtroom erupted in laughter. Malik's eyes dropped to the floor. No one noticed the woman sitting quietly in the back row. She wore a simple navy suit. No badge. No expression. Just a small leather notebook resting on her knee. Her name was Dr. Alana Brooks. And she was writing everything down. Dr. Alana Brooks wasn't there by coincidence. She wasn't a journalist. She wasn't a law student. She wasn't even part of Malik's case. She was an undercover inspector for the National Judicial Conduct Review Board, sent to investigate anonymous complaints of racial bias in Judge Evelyn Hawthorne's courtroom. For months, reports had surfaced. Excessive sentencing for black defendants' mockery, disguised as humor, disrespect toward public defenders' dismissive attitudes toward families. But complaints alone weren't enough. They needed proof. And today was unfolding exactly as feared. Judge Hawthorne leaned forward. "Mr. Johnson, possession of illegal substances carries serious consequences. I suggest you start taking responsibility instead of blaming invisible friends." Malik's attorney stood. "Your Honor, there is no forensic evidence linking my client to the contents of the bag." "Oh, please," the judge snapped. "I've heard enough." She turned to the clerk. "We'll proceed with sentencing." Denise gasped. Malik froze. And in the back row, Dr. Brooks underlined a sentence in her notebook. Given the defendant's prior juvenile infractions and his clear lack of remorse, Judge Hawthorne said coolly, "This court sentences Malik Johnson to 18 months in a juvenile detention facility." Denise screamed. "No, please. He's just a child." The bailiff moved instantly, placing a hand on her shoulder. Malik turned, panic flooding his face. "Mama. Order." Judge Hawthorne barked, slamming the gavel. "Remove her if she can't control herself." As Denise was escorted out, sobbing broken, Judge Hawthorne leaned back, satisfied. Another case closed. Another statistic added. Or so she thought. Dr. Alana Brooks stood. "Excuse me, Your Honor," she said calmly. Judge Hawthorne frowned. "And you are?" Dr. Brooks reached into her blazer and held up a badge. The room went still. "Dr. Alana Brooks," she said clearly. "National Judicial Conduct Review Board." The color drained from Judge Hawthorne's face. "I'm here to inform you," Dr. Brooks continued, "that this courtroom is now under formal investigation for judicial misconduct, racial bias, and violation of defendant rights." Gasps echoed. The prosecutor stiffened. The clerk froze. The bailiff's hand slowly dropped from Denise's arm. Judge Hawthorne stood abruptly. "This is highly inappropriate. You can't just—" "Oh, but I can," Dr. Brooks replied. "And I've been observing this court for 6 weeks." She turned to Malik. "Including your case." Dr. Brooks opened her notebook. Mocking tone toward defendant. Interrupting defense counsel. Assumptive guilt based on race and background. Public humiliation. Each word felt like a hammer. Judge Hawthorne's voice shook. This is outrageous. No, Dr. Brooks said softly. This is accountability. She nodded toward the door. 2 officials entered. Judge Hawthorne's gavel slipped from her hand and hit the floor with a sharp crack. Malik's sentence was immediately stayed. An emergency review was ordered. Within weeks, Judge Evelyn Hawthorne was suspended without pay. A full audit of her past rulings began. Over 40 cases were reopened. Malik walked free that day. Outside the courthouse, Denise hugged her son so tightly he could barely breathe. You did nothing wrong, she whispered through tears. Nothing. Dr. Brooks watched from a distance, her job done, for now. But the story didn't end there. Malik stood at a podium. Not in a courtroom, but in a packed auditorium. He was taller now. Stronger. Behind him hung a banner. Youth Justice and Bias Reform Conference. I used to think the system was built to break people like me, Malik said into the microphone. But I learned something. He paused. It can change, when someone is brave enough to expose the truth. The crowd stood and applauded. In the back row, Dr. Alana Brooks smiled. Stories like Malik's happen every day, but they don't always end like this. If you believe justice should never depend on skin color. If you believe power should be held accountable. Then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to James Stories, because these stories matter. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to James Stories.